It has often been said, never judge a book by its cover. I actually buy books based on their covers. I have many of them here. The Del Shannon Mysteries, So Much of Life is a Mystery. Death Wish. As a psychiatrist, I deal with these issues daily. However, I am reminded of my hero, Charles Bronson, and his movie Death Wish, and I think all the other ramifications, series of those, there were probably 250 of them. I think the last one was Death Wish meets Rocky meet the Planet of the Apes. We have to dream of the accused. Webster's Dictionary. Fatal Sins, written by David Steele. I think it's Danielle Steele's nephew, soon to become a TV miniseries, no doubt. The Ultimate Flashback by Larry Becker. Again, I deal with issues of flashback and that type of thing all day. What I'm going to do, those of you who are comfortable enough with your vision, I will employ your assistance in this. And before we do, Fatal Sins. I'm going to ask, is there one amongst us here tonight? May I? Are you comfortable with your vision?
No.
Okay, very good. I appreciate the candor. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, baby.
May I hand you the book? And I'm going to ask you, please, to tell us how many pages there are in the book. You need not be psychic. You may turn to the end and tell us. How many pages are there?
280.
280. Of course, I knew that. I could have told you, however. I'm going to ask you all to allow me the poetic license to say 300 pages, because it makes the math easier. 300 pages, approximately 200 to 400 words per page, and a galley proof of a hardback book published in the United States. 300 pages, approximately 400 words per page. We're looking at 120,000 words. However, I'm going to ask you tonight to merely select one word, two if you must. In a moment, not yet, in a moment, I'm going to ask you please to open the book to whatever page you would like. And if you're not happy with that page, you may change the page. People often ask me, may I change my mind? I tell them, please, keep the mind you have. But you may change the page. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to open it and turn to a page. If you like it, great. If not, go to another one. And I'm going to ask you, when you do, to look through the body of print, and I'm going to ask you to select a word. However, for tonight's purposes, I'm going to ask you, please, to select the biggest word, the longest word, the most letters, the most syllables. The reason being, it'll make it the most impressive. And if you find yourself wrestling between two words, if you find yourself conflicted, as we say in psychiatry, it's okay to select two. And please, if you will now, feel free to open the book, and please, within the body of the text, I'm going to ask you to find a page with which you feel this comfort, and I'm going to ask you to take your time and scan down the page and silently select a word. And as I said earlier, if you're conflicted, you may select two. The longest words, the most letters, the most syllables, that'll make this the most impressive. And once you've found that word or words, I'm going to ask you, please, not to whisper, to verbalize it to the person next to you. I do read lips. I am going to ask you just to point to it so that they can verify it and see the word or words you've selected. And once you've completed that, I'll just have you close the book and say, Dave, I'm ready. And then the other part of this is, please remember your word. It does make for a much more pleasing result. Very good, and I'll take the book back. Thank you. Please, if you will, remember the word or words. And I have a dictionary and a book. And Gail, are you comfortable with your vision?
I am.
Very good, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to hand the dictionary here. I'm going to ask you, please, to say stop at any time.
Stop.
Okay. Very good. I'm going to ask you to look at the first word at the top of that page. Can you see that? I cannot. Can you see that? And can you see the 2 page numbers where we stopped?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm going to step away, and I'm going to ask you in a moment to open the dictionary of those 2 pages. Not yet, but in a moment. And then I have another book, and what I will do is, may I hand you this book? And I'll have you tell us, please, how many pages are in that book?
Second worst person. 199.
Okay, 199. So let's just say 200. In a paperback book, there are approximately 100 to 200 words per page, so we're looking at about 40,000 words, and 1 to 199. So I'm going to ask, please, from 1 to 199, what page would you like?
4.
4. I'm going to ask you, please, to turn to page 4. And when you get to page 4, I'm going to ask you, please, to look at the first line at the top of page 4. And when you do, I'm going to ask you, please, to silently go through that line, and I'm going to ask you to select the biggest word, the longest word, the most letters, the most syllables, because that'll make this the most impressive. And once you see that word, remember it. Will you please do that?
Okay.
And you have that word, and I'll have you close the book, and I'll take it back. Very good. Words. We have lots of words floating around the room right now. And did you select 1 or 2 words?
2.
I knew that. And I'm going to ask you to share out loud, not the words you selected. However, I'm going to ask you to share out loud the first letters of each word. The first letter of each word is
V
a V
and a P.
and a P. And I want you please to concentrate on your words, because you see, when we get a letter, it doesn't tell us a whole lot. Although the unconscious mind goes to a word that has meaning. And you see, there's a lot going on here tonight. And in fact, we're talking about images. And the mind is a camera. And you see, the first word you're thinking of reminds us that our life is made up of pictures. And that we're taking those pictures. You see, because the first word you thought of was that of a photographer. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes. And you see, our life is not a single picture. Our life is moving pictures. Every day is a new photograph in our life. And we looked at a photo album, and I was able to get the impressions from the photo album. And you see, the second word you're thinking of is videocassette. Is that correct? Video cassette. Very good. And you're thinking of word, Caleb. Yes. And you're thinking of the word. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to turn to those 2 pages in the dictionary, because I know you're thinking this is all very mysterious. Is that correct? Yes. And yet we're all working together. And you see, we work together, and together we're creating this set of mysteries tonight, because we're engaged in a process known as collaboration. Is that correct?
That's
correct. And so I'm going to ask you please to turn to those 2 pages in the dictionary, and when you do, you will note that there are 2 columns on each page, so that gives us 4 columns. 4 columns of defined words. And I'm going to ask, please, would you like column 1, 2, 3, or 4?
3.
3. I'm going to ask you please to look at column 3, and I'm going to ask you to look at the first bold print defined word at the top of column 3. And as you do, I want you to silently spell it over and over in your mind. Because the word that you're spelling over and over in your mind reminds us that all too often when we see things, people, we make snap judgments. We place labels on things. So in fact, what we are creating is an E-A-R-M-A-R-K, an earmark, is that correct?
That's correct.
I want to thank you all very, very much.
Encore.